Guys, so I wanted to talk about this one particular video on a channel called Jubilee, where it was hosted by this gentleman here, Charles X, and he decided to cover the topics of light skin and dark skin within the black community. And there was a panel of 8 people, 4 light skin, 4 dark skin. So there are 4 panelists from the dark skin side. Charles included himself along with 3 others. You have a Senegalese woman, a young man from Ghana. Charles is from the United States, and Chris will be the dark-skinned woman with the dreadlocks. She's from the United States as well. And then on the light-skinned side, you have 2 light-skinned people and 2 biracial people. I don't remember all of their names. You have to forgive me for that. But there was a couple of things that were discussed on this video. Because the video, it did cover a wide variety of topics that black people typically talk about, colorism being one of them. Is there preferential treatment toward lighter skinned people in the entertainment field or industry? Is there more colorism inside the community or outside the community? I mean, they discuss a lot of different topics that you typically hear black Americans talk about. But one thing that I want to discuss, well, first of all, let me just start off by saying that usually I don't like to watch these paneled discussions with the topics being like these hot button topics that are highly triggering in the black community, because usually when it's a panel discussion, especially when it has to do with colorism or have a bunch of light and dark people talking about colorism, it just comes off very scripted, very controlled, where the lighter skinned people are basically quiet and just complicit with whatever the dark skinned people have to say. And I feel like the lighter skinned panelists can never be truly honest about what they feel or what they've experienced, because the darker skinned people would jump all over them. Like the mixed race woman right here, she came off very scared, it seemed like, very apologetic. And so did these 2 people here. Like they were not, like everything was, in favor of light-skinned people, and dark-skinned people have just suffered so much, and lighter-skinned people had it easy. Like this guy here, Charles X, who is the host, just started off out the gate with comments about genetics and how black is the dominant gene and lighter skin or the white is the recessive, and the darker skin is the dominant, and the blueprint, how darker skin they're the originals. And he was just fawning all over the darker skinned people's complexion. Oh my, like your skin. Oh, it's so beautiful. And even gave like a chef's kiss. Mwah. Oh, just so beautiful. And the sun was made for us. And it just came off kind of corny. And if you can look in the comments, I tried to post a couple of them, but it didn't work. But I just felt like his comments about genetics and about the recessive and the dominant was a little bit weird, because it seemed like he had to just right out of the gate affirm his superiority towards the lighter skin. Basically, we're the dominant, we're the ones who are the originals, we're the blueprints, you're the recessive. So let's just set the tone of the conversation right there. And if you hear like hammering and drilling in the background, I apologize. It's my neighbor having work done on his house. But no, he had to set the tone for the conversation, basically asserting his dominance and his superiority over the lighter skinned people. We're the dominants, we're the dominant people, the blueprint, and we're the ones that basically are running the shit. And so what we say goes. So you be very careful what you say, and everything you talk about has to be approved by us first. You don't get to talk about what you've experienced. You just sit your light skinned asses down and listen to us talk about our experiences, and your job is to basically like agree with everything we've said. That's my smoke alarm, sorry. But you just agree with everything we said. And I just think it's really funny how a lot of stuff was really kind of telling in the video, especially with the young lady on the left, the younger one, the one with her natural hair. I mean, both of them have their natural hair, but the one on the left has like an afro, and the other lady has dreadlocks. The one with the afro is Senegalese, and she was talking about colorism. And at the beginning of the discussion, she talked about the little boy in the schoolyard and how he told her that her skin tone was blacker than dog mess. And then she went on talking about the ridicule that she experienced. And she gave it away by saying she really didn't, after that experience, she really didn't want anything else to do with Black Americans. So it's a dead giveaway that the colorism that she's been subjected to is coming from the Black community. And nobody really wanted to get deeper off into that. They just kind of glossed over it and changed the subject around and made everything seem like it's systematic, and that Black people experience the things that they've experienced, the ugliness of colorism and the ugliness of racism by the system. It's a strategic thing where Black people are looking a certain way, and it's never any accountability there for the Black community to own up to the colorism that it subjects to itself or to each other. It was just glossed over. They started talking about the entertainment field, and does, the entertainment field favor lighter skinned people over darker skinned people. And they got on the subject of baddies, that show Baddies, and they were talking about how it puts Black women in a negative light. Baddies and Sexy Red. They were talking about those images portrays Black women in a negative light. And the thing is that Baddies is a very deliberate thing. If you want to get on Baddies, it's not a systematic thing. Girls send in thousands of girls send in audition videos, and they actually apply and try on purpose to get on this show. This is not a systematic thing. This is a very deliberate thing. And Baddies is not only casting Black women, but I think Zeus took over the show, and I believe Zeus is a Black-owned television company, I believe. Nobody is putting a gun to these ladies' heads and making them get on TV and act like that and fight and beat each other up and act like damn fools on nationwide TV. Nobody's putting a gun to these people's heads and making them audition for that show. Just like nobody's putting a gun to your head and making you watch it. Nobody's putting a gun to Sexy Red or Sukiana or any of these Black rappers, Black female rappers, and putting a gun to their head and making them do that. That's a decision that they made on their own to portray themselves that way, and they have a fan base largely or majority of majority Black women that consume this kind of stuff. So Sexy Red would not be where she was at if there were not fans of hers promoting her. Cardi B, Sukiana, and these people, their fan base is largely Black women. Another thing that stood out to me was that Kwame, the young man in the he had a white hair wrap on his head. He basically stated that colorism, he wasn't aware of colorism because he's from Ghana, and most of the people in Ghana are Black. He wasn't aware of it until he came over to the United States. But when they were speaking about the entertainment industry, they also mentioned Zoe Saldana playing the role of Nina Simone. And I just found it very funny how much of a backlash Zoe Saldana got for playing that role. But Zoe Saldana's stance was, I'm a Black woman, I'm raising 2 Black sons, there's not one way to be Black, I don't care about the backlash I get. She was a Black woman, I'm a Black woman, I don't see anything wrong with portraying her. They mentioned Zoe Saldana and how Like, that woman literally had to apologize to the black community for playing that role, and basically said that she was not good enough to portray Nina Simone. And even the family told her to keep Nina's name out of her mouth and that Nina Simone deserved better. But nobody said anything when Denzel Washington portrayed Malcolm X. No one said anything when Angela Bassett played the role of Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks and Malcolm X are light-skinned people. Malcolm X had a mixed race mother, and he had red hair. And see, that's the hypocrisy. And had I been sitting on this panel, shit would have been a little bit different. Because I would have got things, I would have lived up to my handle. It would have been hella saucy up on that panel. Because the first thing coming out of his mouth was about the genetic thing. I would have checked the shit out of him. And I would have checked the fuck out of them talking about Zoe Saldana had no business playing Nina Simone. Well, a black man, I forgot who the actor was, a dark-skinned person had no business playing the role of Nat Turner. Angela Bassett had no business playing the role of Rosa Parks, and Denzel had no business playing Malcolm X. The same thing with Muhammad Ali and all the other MLS greats. If we're talking about that, let's talk about it. And I hate it when they get up here and make it seem like these panel discussions are so honest. They're not honest. If we want to have an honest discussion, let's have an honest discussion. Because if I been sitting on that panel, I'd have been hella honest. I'm telling you right now, they would not have liked me. They would have edited my ass right out of that shit. Because they would not have liked me. I'm telling you right now. And I just don't like how one-sided the conversation was, because it seemed like the young lady Kylan and Brenda and all of the light-skinned people held back, and they really couldn't talk about their discussion, like their experiences with the black community in any kind of real way. It was always them being very agreeable, being very passive, being quiet. Like, we already know that dark-skinned people experience colorism. We already know that. We know that already. We've been hearing it for the last 10 plus years. But the discussion that we've been hearing for the last 10 plus years have not really been a real discussion. And one thing, it's been one-sided. And for another thing, it's just been basically a barrage of insults hurled at MLS women and MLS people by darker skinned people. As if lighter skinned people were responsible for the colorism that they've experienced, when, if they would be honest, most of that shit came from other dark skinned people. Don't get me wrong, yeah, light skinned people can be colorist too, they can be, but we are not the face of that shit. Darker skinned people can definitely be colorists. They have been colorists, and they're largely responsible for a lot of trauma that a lot of dark skinned people have. The parents, the grandparents. A lot of times it's the mothers, because like you said, a lot of these people came from single mother homes. The fathers weren't really around a lot, so a lot of this shit did come from the mothers, telling their kids, don't bring home nobody real dark. Your hair nappy, come here, let me put a perm in it and stuff. This is coming from a lot of the grandmothers and the mothers who raised these kids to believe certain things about their skin, about dark skin tone. And then what got me was that a couple of the light-skinned people, I think it was Brenda and Joseph, were acting surprised and acting like they didn't know that the colorism that the young lady on the left with the afro from Senegal experienced came from other black people. Oh, I didn't know it was black people who were the ones talking shit. I mean, girl, you know good and well. If you come from the black community, you know damn well black people talk mad shit. Black people talk mad shit about every damn thing and everybody. They fat shame, color shame, skin tone shame, talk about race, talk about everything and every damn body. That's what I be talking about. Like, I can't get with these little disingenuous bullshit panel discussions. This shit is just so scripted and full of shit. Like, everything on here is scripted. Like, it's like light-skinned people, shut up and stay in your place. That's what I got from it. And then the young lady in the white shirt with the afro talked about the caste system and how the colorism situation is worse outside of the United States. Because, and it's worse outside of the United States because light-skinned people don't have any power over here. Light-skinned Black Americans, biracial, MLS people do not have the power to tell dark-skinned people anything or to stop anything. And they know that. But of course, Charles X acted like he was shocked. Oh, it's worse on the outside, outside of the United States. And the girl from Senegal, confirmed, yeah, it's much worse. So yeah, the whole thing was just disingenuous. It was just a bunch of people just, I don't know, pandering. And he kept making these, Charles X, the host, the guy in the orange, kept making like these comments saying, oh, the sun was made for us. The sun was just made for us. And oh, your complexion is just so beautiful. And he just kept fawning over the dark-skinned, complected people. And their skin tone is beautiful. I'm not going to disagree, but how many times do you have to keep saying that? I mean, after saying it so many times, it starts to get just a little cringy and weird. And I'm glad a lot of people in the comments pointed that out, that he was being cringy and weird with it. It was just a little bit over the top, and it just seemed like he was trying to mask a colorist attitude. But yeah, that's my rant. If you want to check out the video, the channel is called Jubilee. It's a brand new video, so I'm sure you wouldn't have a problem finding it. Pay close attention to the comments, because most of the people in the comments weren't really paying much attention to the video anyway. They were mostly arguing about who was light-skinned and who wasn't, and Brenda and Joseph weren't really light-skinned. They were more brown-skinned, and the two biracial people were the true light-skins. And then other people were talking about how weird the host was. So yeah, just go check out the video and just let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think it was an honest discussion or not? Just let me know, and I will see you guys next time.